Welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast, the show by fans for fans of your Milwaukee Brewers.
All right, Brew fans, welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast. Thanks for tuning in and listening. With you today is yours truly, Craig, along with my cohort, Vince. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Craig. How are you?
Great. All right, we're going to be going through our July edition of our Rapid Nine, a popular segment that we've been made into its own podcast at this point. We're going to go through 9 innings of questions between the two of us, brewer-related, baseball-related questions that we're going to answer for our listeners here as we head in the middle of July, the All-Star break. And
is Scotty on? He loves this segment. Did he make the show today?
No, I think he's unfortunately applying for jobs once again, so he's probably not available. That or he's taking his dog to the groomer. He does that quite often. So no, unfortunately, Scott cannot join us today. But anyway, we'll get through this. But again, it is rapid fire. I know Scott used to like to take his time, but if we can get through this in rapid succession, and there's a pitch clock on each of the innings. So just like Major League Baseball, that's why we're trying to play this 9-inning. So question as quickly as possible for our listeners and our fans. Of course, they enjoy that. They don't like long drawn out baseball games or rapid nines. So apparently, all right. Okay. First inning, if you can lead it off, Vince. Going forward, yep. Obviously Garrett Mitchell just came off the IL, which is great. And so unfortunately it puts a little bit of logjam in the outfield. Obviously Jackson Trio is not being sent down as of yet. And so probably going to stick with the big club. So here's the question. Rank in order for how many at-bats, who will get the most at-bats, these players going forward. Jackson Trio, Sal Frelick, Garrett Mitchell, and Blake Perkins.
I think it's Trio, Mitchell, Frelick, Perkins.
Okay.
I think that they're going to continue to throw Trio out there, every day. I think that the whole point of bringing him up this year and what, people forget. Originally, this season was supposed to be kind of a bridge year. I know that we don't use the term rebuild in Milwaukee, but, we've got a lot of young guys who are first or second year players, including Trio. And I think that the Brewers know that his best development is going to come when he plays every day. And we've already started to see some of the results of that. I mean, he's had a great July so far. He's had a really good month of June. I think that, we're beginning to see why the Brewers signed him to a long-term deal at the, ripe young age of 20. So, I think it's going to be Trio out there pretty much every day. I love Perkins. I think he's great. I also think he's a really good fourth outfielder. I think he can play defense with anybody in the league. I just think his bat's a bit behind Mitchell, and I think that Frelick brings many of the same tools, but I think that it's going to be the order that I gave.
All right. Yeah. My order is fairly similar. I'm going with the Trio, Frelick, Mitchell, and Perkins. It's great to have Mitchell back. I really think Sal Frelick's earned more at bats with great play. And I think obviously either against left-hand pitchers, either or both those guys might be out of lineup anyways. But so Blake Perkins at this point will probably only get starts against left-handed pitchers, and there's just not as many of those in the league. So that's why he will probably, be the one that suffers the most. Mitchell coming back as far as at-bat wise. But like I said, Blake Perkins has been a huge part of our success as a team in the first half. So he's still a really valuable part of that. And as a defensive replacement, even, in a pinch runner or whatever, he's a great player to have on the roster one way or another, definitely. So, all right. Similar.
Well, don't forget, a fourth outfielder is still going to play a ton. I mean, it's not like, back in the day where you had 3 guys and they came out every, game for 162 games or whatever. I think that your fourth outfielder plays just about as much as your first starting 3, to be honest, with some of the versatility, especially in this Brewers outfield.
All right. Second inning. And again, now that we've got Frey Peralta, Aaron Savali, Colin Ray, and Tobias Myers pretty much solidified as our top 4 starting pitchers in the rotation. I really think that our 5th starting role will have a lot of different players in it as we go forward. And of course, because of injury and depth, who knows how many innings that these guys are going to actually get. But this is similar to the first inning question, but rank in order these 4 pitchers, who, in your opinion, will throw the most innings for the Milwaukee Brewers from this point on in the season for the second half? And that's Dallas Keuchel, Aaron Ashby, DL Hall, and Carlos Rodriguez.
I think by default, it's probably Dallas Keuchel. I mean, Rodriguez has some talent. I don't think he's ready for the big leagues yet. Ashby has gotten blown up in AAA. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping and expecting more out of him this season. So Ashby so far has been a bit of a disappointment to me. Yeah, I think that Keuchel's probably going to get the most innings. DL Hall, talent-wise, I think is right there. I think he's ready for the big leagues. I have a lot of hope for DL in the future, but he just keeps getting bit by these little injuries, and I think that the Brewers may even put him in the bullpen in the second half if he is able to come back from injury at some point.
Yeah, this is a tough question for me because, in my opinion, Dallas Keuchel, I hope I'm wrong about this, but he's entering the Madison Bumgarner phase of his veteran career as where he's very close to having a fork stuck in him, so to speak. So with that being said, I'm hoping I'm going to go with DL Hall first, followed by Keuchel, Rodriguez, and Ashby. Like I said, Ashby may not make its way back at all unless there's an injury. Carlos Rodriguez have to really prove himself at AAA a little bit more to get a chance. And DL Hall might get, if Keuchel succeeds, I think DL Hall gets transitioned to the bullpen for the rest of the year. But I'm going to go with DL Hall because I think Keuchel might not make it more than another month before he is DFA'd, and that's just a guess on my part, but I hope I'm wrong. So that's second inning. All right, third inning. What position of need do you think the Brewers should address the most at the trade deadline this year?
I think it still is going to be pitching. I think that our offense is pretty well rounded. And now that we've got guys coming back from injury with Ortiz, rehabbing up in Appleton today, and Mitchell just getting off the DL, I think that that's pretty exciting. So I think it's going to have to be another starting pitcher probably, and I would say we're always going to be needing some bullpen depth. So I'm going to flip that. I'm going to say bullpen number 1 and starting pitching number 2 actually after Savali.
Good. Yeah, that's kind of the route I was going to go to. For some reason, I have a feeling the Brewers are going to make a big bullpen addition to set up Devin Williams. Not that Trevor McGill has been doing a pretty dang good job as a closer, and so he'll still be back there. But I have a feeling that we may be going after like a pretty quality left-handed relief pitcher. But that being said, I still think, after we just listed out those 4 names, I still think that we need to address starting pitch. I'm going to say starting pitching is what we really still need to address because, like I said, I don't have as much faith in Dallas Keuchel as others may have. So that's where I still think our weakest link is starting pitching. So,
well, don't forget too, Craig, the best Brewers bullpen probably in franchise history was 2011 when the Brewers went to the NLCS, and at that point the Brewers had, what some might have actually labeled 4 closers. I mean, when you think about that bullpen, 4 guys with closing experience between Axford and K-Rod and Takashi Saito and who am I missing? LaTroy Hawkins. So I think that, the idea of if you have a weaker rotation, then you got to shorten the length of, time that they're expected to pitch. And I think it comes down to math. So if you've got, 3 guys, if you've got McGill, some addition, and then Devin Williams as your 7th, 8th, 9 guys, that's a pretty awesome back into the bullpen. I really like that model for a team like Milwaukee.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, on to the 4th inning. Willie Adames is making $12.5 million in arbitration this year. His last year of arbitration eligibility. Most likely he'd become a free agent. Obviously, we're not going to be trading him as a first place team. Knock on wood. Obviously, that seems like a no brainer. However, it seems like most fans think it's a no brainer to offer him a qualifying offer. Now, next year's qualifying offer will probably be $21 million, which would almost be double his current salary this year. With with Ortiz, waiting in the wings to be our future shortstop, if not Terang. As a GM of the Brewers, would you still offer a qualifying offer to Willie Adames?
Yeah, I would. It's a win-win scenario either way. Either he comes back, and it's a lot of money, but the Brewers have shored up a lot of money in other places too, and it's still a very young team. So you get Willie back, or you get something for him if he does depart via free agency, and then you plug a younger option into the shortstop position who's going to be there for 4 or 5, maybe more seasons. So yeah, I would. I think it's a win-win either way.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna say I would offer it to him, even though I think that it's there's gonna be more thought put into it than we currently think. But Willie Adamas, I think, is a very valuable part of this organization and a key to our success so far in 2024. There's no doubt about it. So I do think it's not exactly a no-brainer, but I think it's wise to do so. So all right, moving on to the fifth inning. Predict which team will finish second in the NL Central at the conclusion of the 2024 season.
St. Louis.
All
Yeah,
right.
I think it's St. Louis. I think Pittsburgh is probably still a last place team, despite the fact they just took the series from us here today. Apparently, um, I think it's St. Louis. I think they're a lot tougher than the Cubs this season. They just seem to never go away. So yeah, I'll say the Cardinals.
I'm gonna go with the Pirates just because I have a feeling that they're gonna be aggressive at the trade deadline for some reason this year, and that they're gonna base off their their huge rookie pitcher Paul Skeens are gonna have kind of a decent second half, and I'll say that they finished at second NL Central, but they just miss out on a wild card. That's my prediction. Okay, sixth inning. Okay, predict who will represent the American League in the World Series this year.
Gosh, we already did this in our season preview show. But I think I'm probably wrong. I honestly, you probably won't like the answer. I think it's the Yankees. They're pretty good this season. I don't know. I think the Yankees.
All right, I will go with I'll be probably pulling for the Mariners, but I just don't think they have the offense for it. I'll go with the Baltimore Orioles. I feel like they have the best team, even though going into this podcast, I believe the Cleveland Guardians actually have the best record in the
Yeah.
AL, which is just shocking to me how they're able to do that. But it's to
I
me,
was going back and forth in my answer here between the Yankees and Cleveland. To be honest, those were the two teams I was debating.
I think in both leagues, if you said which team is the most surprising in each league, it would be pretty consensus of the Guardians and the Brewers being teams that are overachieving this year and surprisingly.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I will say this. I think it'd be a really fun World Series to see a Cleveland Milwaukee World Series. That'd be awesome. Probably a nightmare for Major League Baseball in terms of ratings, but I certainly would find it to be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. So, all right. I think we're on the seventh inning. What's your preferred place to park when you come to a game at AmFam Field?
Well, there's two answers to that. I mean, number one, if you're tailgating, you just park wherever you can set up the grill. I mean, I like to be in sort of the more active lots so that you can really enjoy the grilling experience with others in the parking lot. I think that's a lot of fun. So I'm a big believer in the tailgating culture in Milwaukee. Huge fan of all of that. So count me in for tailgating is my number one answer. Number two, though, I think it's almost equally as fun that Lena and I have done a number of times is we park up at Balistraries on Blue Mound and we'll grab dinner there and then take a shuttle into the game. So that would be my number two. But any of the Blue Mound shuttles are pretty awesome.
Those are great answers. I'm going to go, and this might be more have changed over the course of my life, but currently I'm gonna have to go with parking on Blue Mound Road. Obviously, I would love to tailgate, but my kids, once I get in the game, they eat $20 or $30 worth of food or merchandise every time I go in. So to offset that cost, I am trying to save on parking by parking for free on Blue Mound Avenue and having the kids walk in or actually we have this stroller thing or their scooters into Miller Park, and it just kind of makes for a cool experience in summertime. So unfortunately, and I'm not a big fan. And also, by the way, the Brewers still have not figured out as we approach the All-Star break, still have not figured out their ticket, their automated parking ticketing system for the parking lots this year, and it's kind of a joke actually. So I don't feel like they are deserving of any of my money until they get that figured out. That's my personal stance.
It's great, but you can save the ballpark food cost if you just bought like a $5 pack of brats or hot dogs or something, and then have some charcoal that you could use for at least a few times. That would save the ballpark food cost.
You would think that. But apparently, my 6-year-old daughter refuses to go to a game without having Dippin' Dots or ice cream, which both cost upwards of $10. So, in spite of whatever we eat or beforehand, that's like a given. So, unfortunately, all right.
Fair enough. My nieces are the same way. When I take them, my two nieces, they will, when they're with their uncle or their aunt and uncle, actually, they can pretty much get what they want because we try to, encourage their love of baseball. So we don't worry about that. We're always on the hook for Dippin' Dots. It seems it's like that is the number one choice every time. So I don't know. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, no. But I'm trying to take the kids once or twice a month to the game, if not more. So yeah, it gets a little bit hefty on the paid on the checkbook, if that's still a reference. That holds any creed. But anyways, all
The
right.
kids don't know that.
Eighth inning, actually the eighth and ninth innings I'm gonna dip out on and just call in the closer here, and that's you to finish out. There's gonna be 2 trivia questions to close this out, actually. And so I know Scott's interns love the trivia questions to add in here. Scott, not so much, but yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
So during the 1990s, which I know is your heyday as a Brewer fan, I would call it.
Yeah.
4 Brewers led the team in the 1990s in WAR, which is a stat I'm not a huge fan of because it's very arbitrary. But can you name the 4 Milwaukee Brewers that led the team in WAR during the 1990s? There's
So wait, 4
of them.
Brewers throughout the 4 led the national or 4 led the American League or the National League?
No,
or
they just
4
they
led
just led.
Brewers.
They were the Brewers team leader in
The
WAR.
Brewers leader. Okay, one has to be Greg Vaughn for sure.
Oh no, but they're only pitchers.
So,
So
I thought you said the Brewers. Okay,
4
so
Brewers pitchers, no hit. So out of the 10 years in the 90s, 6 times a hitter led the Brewers in WAR, but 4 times it was actually led by a pitcher. So you don't have to know the years, but if you can name as many of the 4 pitchers as you can, and again, I would have probably only gotten one of them myself. So this is a very difficult question. Interns have come up with.
Okay, I got it. Ben McDonald, 1996. Is that correct?
That is correct. You got one.
Okay. Let's say Cal Eldred.
That is incorrect. I will give one hint that one of the players is no longer, unfortunately, amongst the living.
Doug Jones?
Nope.
Huh. Interesting. So who else passed away from the 90s Brewers teams? Wow. Okay. Chris Bosio? I know he's still alive. Did he in the early 90s?
No, that's not
lead the team at 4. Okay. Ron Robinson? He had a good year for us one year.
There you go. 1990, Ron Robinson, number 2 you've got.
Yep. After he was acquired in a trade from the Reds for Glenn Braggs and along with Bob Sebra. All right. Let's see who else. Boy, Robinson is still alive, so we still haven't hit on the guy who has passed away. I think Teddy Higuera was too banged up by 1990 to lead the team in WAR. I guess I don't think Higuera's not one of them. Okay, so I said Bosio. Ricky Bonas.
Not all right. Number 3, Ricky Bonas, 1995.
He was an all-star that season too, by the way. He was an all-star with the Milwaukee Brewers.
I remember that.
So I'm missing one guy, and he's passed away, and it's not Doug Jones.
Oh wait.
Let me.
What? And I may have wrong. Hasn't Ron Robinson passed away?
No, he just did a card show like last month.
Okay, I was wrong on that hint. Then I apologize. We're gonna have to fire. We're gonna have to fire. We're gonna have to fire this intern. I'm sorry, Skylar, but that was.
Yeah, no.
So actually, they're all living still. That's my bad. Or not so much.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad that Ron's doing well. For what it's worth. Okay, so we got one more. How about we go with Jesse Orozco?
Nope.
The loogie. No. Okay. Can you give me a hint? Is it a starter or reliever?
It's a starter.
Okay. All right. Scott Carl. He had a good year with us.
Oh, good guess, but wrong.
Steve Woodard.
Nope. It is. I'm
Jamie
going to reveal. See, unless you want me to reveal it or not.
Yeah, I said Jamie Navarro. I'm assuming it's not him. Jeff D'Amico's good year was in 2000. So no, yeah, I don't know. What is it?
In 1992, the Brewers were led in WAR by Bill Wegman.
Oh gosh, did I not say Wegman? I should have guessed him. Oh well.
I thought he was more of a late 80s guy, but apparently he crept over decent in the 90s too. So, all right, well, that was the 8th thing trivia.
Was sneaky good, Craig. That 92 team was really fun to watch. They were Cal Eldred was a rookie. He posted 11 wins that season, if I recall. Yeah, that was a good team.
All right, here's a ninth inning trivia question. It's equally tough almost, which I hate that the internet are doing this to you, but I think you're gonna get and you did pretty good on that one actually. But here we go.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, Michael Kopech of the White Sox threw an immaculate inning.
Yeah.
There's only been just over 100 immaculate innings in Major League Baseball history, but 5 Brewers have thrown immaculate innings
Wow.
in the history of the 55 years of the history of the team now. Can you name how many of the 5 can you name that have thrown immaculate innings?
Wow. That's pretty tough.
And actually, Skylar, our intern, is now telling me that this was the hint. I got the hints mixed up. She said one of these pitchers on this question are no longer among the living.
Well, I think that the answer to that one would be Doug Jones, who unfortunately passed away in 2021. Is Doug Jones one of them?
That is correct. Doug Jones is one of them. He did it on September 23rd, 1997 against Kansas City Royals. He struck out Johnny Damon, Scott Cooper, and Rod Myers on 9 pitches.
I also have another memory of watching a game where this happened. So I do know another kind of random answer. And that's in 2006, I believe, 2005 or 6, with Rick Helling. I think it was 06.
That's correct. It's number 2 you got of the 5, and that's June 20th, 2006. Brewers versus Tigers. Rick Helling struck out Curtis Granderson, Placido Blanco, and Ivan Rodriguez, Hall of Fame for his immaculate.
We also got no hit by the Tigers that season by Justin Verlander, if you recall. We were watching it together. Interesting year against the Tigers. And I think that the weird thing about this game with Helling is that the Tigers ended up coming back to win that game, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he got pulled like an inning later or 2 innings later or something crazy. Okay, so Helling, Jones. Boy, now I'm going to be taxed a little bit on this. Ben Sheets. I'll say Ben Sheets.
Ben Sheets is correct.
Yeah.
Nice guess. He did it 2 years prior to Helling on June 13th, 2004. I'm sure we were probably working that game. Milwaukee Brewers, Houston Astros. Struck out Pete Monroe, Craig Biggio, another Hall of Famer, and Jose Vizcaino for his immaculate inning. Pretty cool.
You know who else we were watching that game with was our anonymous source, Tom Carter, if you remember. He was there.
Oh, yeah. Again, just call him Tom or T. Carter is fine, but not his full name, please. Or else anonymous does not really work. So, all right, 3 of the 5, Vince. I'm pretty impressed so far.
This is getting a little bit more challenging, though. I assume that Helling was kind of the most obscure one, but I could be wrong about that, too.
Okay, Sapphire, another one of our interns, is giving you a hint that the 2 remaining Brewers that were throwing immaculate innings were both relievers at the time.
Both relievers at the time. Okay. It wasn't Dan Plesac, was it?
Nope, that's incorrect.
Oh, I just remembered one. Josh Hader.
Correct. Number 4.
Yep, I remember Hader doing it. Yep, I remember
March
Hader doing
30th
it.
to the again. I think that might have been one of the first games of the season. March 30th of 2019 against St. Louis Cardinals. He struck out Tyler O'Neill, Dexter Fowler, and Yario Munoz on 9 pitches. Awesome. So there's 1 left to get.
Nice. Oh my. All right. Is a reliever.
I'll give you a second hint here that he was also not someone who was not always keen on giving out autographs, even to children.
A reliever who was not keen on giving out autographs, even to children. Wow, what a setup on that. Not keen on giving out autographs to children. Boy. Well, then it wasn't Curtis Laskanik or David Weathers because we weren't good, and those guys did sign quite a bit. I'm trying to remember. How did he get that reputation of not wanting to give out autographs to children? I mean, where did that come from?
It either came from a story with Ewan Junebug or Chad Collins, but it's a Brooker review.
Okay, so we're talking about somebody in the 90s then. Okay, that's a good hint, actually. That's a good hint.
Oh, you know what?
Huh.
this is actually wrong too. What was the name? I actually got that wrong, but what's the name of the reliever that, yeah, you and Junebug would not start with it? His last name started with an F.
An F. Mike Fetters was not the
Mike
best signing.
Fetters. Okay, I got this confused. Okay, he has a similar name to Mike Fetters.
Mike Fiers?
There you go, Mike Fiers.
Yeah, Mike Fiers. Okay, that was a great hint, actually. You know, it sounds like Fetters and his name is Mike. Yeah, Mike Fiers. Mike Fiers is the guy who busted the Astros for the trash can scandal down here back in 2018.
That's right.
So,
That's probably what he'll be known for.
That is exactly what he's going to be known for. So he's not very beloved, but the Brewers traded him to the Astros along with Carlos Gomez for haters. So oddly enough, you had guys that were acquired from each other on that list.
That's interesting. And to his credit, Mike Fiers will go down in Major League Baseball history as throwing an immaculate inning. It's actually more rare than throwing a no-hitter in Major League Baseball history. So
I did not know that. I did not know that.
In May 7th, 2015, Mike Fiers against the Los Angeles Dodgers struck out Enrique Hernandez, who's still a Dodger, by the way, Carlos Fierro and Jack Peterson, which is kind of cool. Both still, or Peterson's still in the league too. So yeah, he struck them out on 9 pitches on May 7th, 2015. So pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That's a nice little bit of trivia there, Craig.
All right, we should wrap this up. But actually, we got one more. A 10th inning extra bonus question. It's just a quick one. The Brewers themselves have only been immaculate inninged twice in their franchise history, and it was both in the same season. Can you name the season?
Wow. My first guess is always going to be 2002 when it comes to negative Brewers things. Sorry to our friend and former guest David Pember, but yeah, 02.
That's incorrect.
Okay. I don't know. What is it?
It's 2017. We were immaculate inninged by Craig Kimbrell when he was on the Red Sox and by Jose Alvarado when he was on the Tampa Bay Rays.
Okay. I did not know that. So, yep, you definitely stumped me on the 10th inning here.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. That was a fun one. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, Brewer listeners. And yeah. We're heading towards.
Remember to give us a follow. Oh, I'm sorry, Craig. I was just going to remind our listeners to give us a follow on Twitter. Brew Review 1 is our Twitter handle. And then you can send any questions to Scott and his interns, Brew Review Podcast with an S at gmail.com. And I'm sure he will get to those questions one of these months.
Yeah, and hopefully you can tune into one of our next episodes where we'll be discussing trade deadline possibilities as the Brewers head past the All-Star break into the second half. So again, stay classy, Milwaukee, and go Brewers.
Stay classy. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Scotty. Thanks, Chad. Go Brewers.